Good morning, good people. It is Thursday, December the 16th, 2021. This is Wake Up with RayGque, brought to you by Bets TV. Make sure you subscribe to the Bets TV YouTube channel, the Wake Up with RayGque podcast, and check out BetsTV.com for all the other dope content creators on the Bets TV lineup. But I'm feeling good today. Jay, you see I'm in TSU Pride, my alma mater, Texas Southern University, HBCU, H-Town, 3rd Ward, Houston, Texas, baby. We in the building, Jay. How you doing this morning, big dog?
I'm good. I'm happy to see you repping the SWAC.
Repping
the HBCUs, Texas Southern, the Tigers. Go Tigers.
TSU Tigers. Pride of the SWAC, baby. Pride of the SWAC. It's a good day. It's a good day to be an HBCU alum because history was made last night, and we're definitely going to talk about that a little bit. But there was some fast breaking news this morning. Some fast action, hard-hitting breaking news this morning we got to get to. I told you so. This was not going to end well. Former Jacksonville Jaguars head coach Urban Meyer, they got him up out the paint. He's fired. It's a wrap. He's gone. It's about damn time, Jeff. You're right. It's about damn time. Duval County, he earned himself this firing. I mean, he literally, as you said, he earned this firing just being himself. And I, for one, Jay, I've been saying it from the beginning. From the beginning, this was not going to end well. And I know today across all sports outlets, this and Travis Hunter are going to be the topics of conversation, but there's a clear, glaring, obvious reason why most college head coaches who have been extremely successful at the collegiate level fail at the NFL level. And a lot of those coaches have one thing in common, is they are narcissists to the highest degree, used to controlling kids. And you can't do that in the NFL. These are grown-ass men. In college, you have the ability to just fire a kid. You're done. You're off my team. I'm pulling your scholarship. You're done. You're not doing that in the NFL. You're not telling James Robinson, you're fired, you're done. You're not going to tell, you can't tell these NFL players, like, you're done. You're fired. Who are you, Urban Meyer? You've proven absolutely nothing in the NFL level to even think you warrant that type of credence, that level of power, respect, and he didn't earn it. This was a failed situation from the beginning. Kudos to Jacksonville for going ahead and canning him right now and getting it over with after the latest. Josh Lambo, former kicker for the Jacksonville Jaguars, said there was a point in practice at some point in time, I don't know if this was preseason, training camp, where Urban Meyer, what was it?
It was, I think, preseason. It was after I think he missed 2 kicks in the preseason. It was week 2 or week 3 or something like that.
And he says, hey, dipshit, make your effing kicks. And kicked him. Like, followed by, I'm the head coach. I'll kick you whenever I want to. Like, that's what, this is what Urban Meyer, this is who he is. And I tweeted out back in August, I can only imagine the things Urban Meyer got away with when he was the head coach at Utah, while he was the head coach at Florida, and while he was the head coach at Ohio State. I cannot, man, I'm not just saying it to be funny. I truly cannot imagine the things that he got away with, the things that he was allowed to say. And it's not just Urban Meyer. This isn't just an Urban Meyer collegiate problem. This probably happens across the board in college football. And I've been in college. I see how these coaches talk to players and what they say to players and how they tell you how terrible you are, how shitty of a human being you are. You have a disgrace to the football community. I've seen it and heard it and seen the treatment and the belittlement of players. And I think this new age that we're sort of moving into will make college coaches a little more mindful of how much power they choose to exercise and when they choose to exercise that power, because now players could say, you know what? I ain't got to worry about you kicking me off the team, off the field. I'm out of this thing. I'm going to go play for somebody else. I think that is going to be something that a lot of these old school college football, Bear Bryant coaching tree coaches are going to have to deal with moving forward in this new age of football, this new age of social media, this new age of exposure. Urban Meyer was never going to work in Jacksonville. And I remember a lot of fantasy analysts, A lot of smart spreadsheet guys combating the folks like me during the training camp, during preseason, saying, oh, give him a chance. How do you know it's not going to work? Urban Meyer was successful in college. Give him the benefit of the doubt. Some things are plain and clear as day. This was a train wreck waiting to happen from the inception of his hire. First, the first line of unorderly business was drafting Travis Etienne. The fact that he paired that up, what are you doing? You've got James Robinson there. It's a position that is so replaceable in the NFL, and you have a 1,000+ yard rusher on your roster who's not Phillip Lindsay, right? He's actually the size of a legitimate NFL running back, and you choose to take your second first-round pick and spend it on a damn running back, to which you want to make him a wide receiver. What are you doing? When Urban Meyer came out and said that I was bummed we couldn't get Kadarius Toney, that was factual. He was really telling the truth. He probably wanted Toney and was going to turn ETN into some slot it was doomed to fail. I saw it coming a mile away, and I'm glad Jacksonville went ahead and pulled the can on this clown of a coach because he has no business coaching anybody in the NFL, let alone, I hope nobody hires him back in the collegiate realm. What do you have to say, Jay?
So the question I have for you, because it's the one that's going around right now, is this the worst coaching tenure
100%.
of all time
100%.
in the NFL? It has to be, right?
100%.
It has to be. There wasn't a moment, I don't think, in time, period, that he was head coach where we thought maybe he can turn things around, maybe he can get the ship right. It was always headed downhill. And for whatever reason, he just couldn't get things right. But like you said this from the very beginning. I was very much on board with that. I remember him at Florida. There was some stories that came out, but like you said, most of it's kept under wraps. Here, it all comes out, man. Lambeau, that story is wild. Like that, to think that he just kicked the kicker and said, I will kick you if I want to.
When I want to, because I'm the head coach.
To a grown man.
Yeah.
The fact that Lambeau didn't fight him then and there.
Because he's a kicker, man.
Honestly, it's crazy.
It's because he wouldn't have pulled. I bet you he wouldn't have pulled that with James Robinson. I bet you he wouldn't have pulled.
No.
I bet you he wouldn't have pulled that with C.J. Henderson when he was still there. He wasn't gonna pull it with him. He wasn't gonna. People only try people they know they can get away with stuff with. They don't. He wouldn't have pulled that with somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't going down like that. He wouldn't have did that to Josh Allen. I wish he would have went and kicked Josh Allen.
No.
Kick Josh Allen. Like, people only push and try you as far as you'll let them. And Josh Lambeau let that happen. Because as a grown-ass man, if anybody kicks me, win, lose, or draw, it's going to be some furniture moving. We're going to be moving some furniture. Outside, we're going to tussle. Straight up. I don't give a damn. You kick me, we fight. Those are the rules. I don't make them. We scrap. We throw the 5. That's what it's going to be. So Urban Meyer out of the picture. Glad he's done, and I'm sure we will talk more about Urban Meyer in the coming days, and I cannot wait for the Urban Meyer 30 for 30 to drop, because I really, that Florida team with Aaron Hernandez, with the Pouncey brothers, with Tebow, with I have no clue how he was able to, Brandon Spikes, I have no clue how he was able to corral that. Like, I have no idea. Maybe Tim Tebow coached the team.
Janoris Jenkins was there too.
Who?
Janoris Jenkins was there too. Another crazy boy.
Yeah. Tebow probably coached that team. He's probably right. Tebow did coach that squad. I need to see. Utah, I can see how he probably got away. Florida boys, Ohio State, I don't know how he did it, man. I'm seeing people in the comments saying, I think it was when I tweeted something out, like I just got one, a list of college coaches who kind of failed at the NFL level. Other notables from the not-so-recent past: Lou Holtz, Mike Riley, Dennis Erickson, Lane Kiffin, Bobby Petrino, Butch Davis. God, I forgot Butch Davis was a head coach. June Jones, Bud Wilkinson, John McKay, Tommy Prothro, Nick Saban. I mean, this should be a lesson to NFL. If I am a fan of an NFL team, whatever respective NFL team you're a fan of, you probably don't want a collegiate head coach coming into your NFL program. Very rarely does that work out. Pete Carroll was a different dude, man. That dude was a true players coach. He had experience in the NFL before going to USC. Pete Carroll coached the New England Patriots before going to USC. He had NFL experience before building a monster at USC and then matriculating back to the NFL. and he's got a different type of personality. That hard ass, I'm the head coach, you do what I say, that stuff is not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Matt Rule, there we go. Another one. Matt Rule, not going to work. Joe Brady.
Do you think he's a bad coach, though?
Who?
I think Matt Rule is an okay coach from a personality standpoint. Like, I don't think he's going to Urban Meyer land. You know what I'm saying? But
it's
as
different,
a good
man.
coach, we'll see.
Good coaching.
Sure.
He was okay. What did he do? I mean, he was fine at Baylor.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, what he wasn't.
Though.
Matt Rule wasn't even on the same stature of a collegiate head coach as Urban Meyer or Pete Carroll or any of these guys.
Or Lincoln Riley, even.
He's fine, man. He's fine. It's different, man. I'm telling you, it's just you can't treat NFL players the same way you can treat 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, man. You just can't do that. And that's all he'd known throughout his entire career. That's all he knew was how to coach and do, like, you can't do that, man. And it honestly looked like he was checked out from Jacksonville. You know, he was like, I'm not used to losing. It was a bad hire all the way around, and something that I don't know how this affects anybody moving forward. I don't know how this affects Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, James Robinson, Laviska Shenault, anybody on that. I have no clue, because one part is if you were a prospective NFL head coach, there's no, and let me be very clear about this, because some people like to say, oh, that's a bad head coaching job. There's no head coaching job in the NFL that's bad. And what I mean by that is there's only 32 of those coveted jobs in the world. So if you get an opportunity to coach an NFL team, you don't say, that's a bad job. Your time can pass you by. We've seen coaches bypass an NFL head coaching opportunity that never receive that again. You know what I'm saying? Unless you got some deal in place to, like Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels, and after Belichick, like, you don't pass up your opportunity to be a head coach. There's no bad job when there's only 32 of those jobs in the entire freaking universe. You take it. You take it. Now, with that being said, I think Jacksonville has some good pieces in place for a coach, a real coach, to come in. You've got a young quarterback. We think he's good. We don't know what he is because he had to deal with that for the past year. You've got running backs. You have some competent wide receiver play. We'll see how DJ Chark develops. You're going to have another high draft pick in the NFL draft. You've got draft capital. I mean, this is a good situation to step into for an owner to say, look, I'm just throwing out the first name, Kellen Moore. We're giving you 5 years to turn this thing, or don't worry about winning in year 1 or year 2. Change the culture. Get some good players in here. You've got draft capital. You have a quarterback. Like, just build this thing. There are some good pieces in place. And when you look at the AFC South right now, Houston, dumpster fire. Tennessee, they're good, but they're teetering on Ryan Tannehill. Is he going to be around for much longer? And then you have the Indianapolis Colts with Carson Wentz, and we know Jonathan Taylor. But it's not like they're in the AFC. They're not in the NFC West, right? They're not having to deal with the foreseeable future. Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, Trey Lance, and, you know, they don't have to deal with that. They're not in the AFC North where you've got Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow that you have to go through. Like, you're in a very winnable division if you can use that draft capital and draft good players, as well as build a culture of just change the culture. Isn't it crazy to think, Jay, just a mere, 5 years ago, Jacksonville was in the AFC Championship game. Yeah. 5 years ago, Jacksonville, and I may be wrong, maybe 5 or 6, but they were in the AFC title game with an opportunity to win and go to the Super Bowl. They were just there. Or was it the divisional round, or was it the AFC title game?
No, it was the AFC title game. I'm pretty sure they lost to the Patriots.
Patriots. It was the Patriots. Was it the year the Patriots played the Eagles in the Super Bowl? They were just in the AFC title game. They had built this menacing defense with Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Bouye and Calais Campbell. And to go from the AFC title to Urban Meyer, what a fall from grace. What a fall.
2017.
What a fall from grace. 2017. There we go. What a fall from grace. Another coach crying his eyes out. Dabo Swinney, this guy, here's his quote. It's chaos right now in talking about the transfer portal. It's chaos right now. Tampering galore. Adults manipulating young men. Education is like the last thing now, and no one wants an education. Dabo Swinney spoke about the current transfer system and how it has impacted the landscape of college football. One more time, because a lot of you listening probably don't believe the words that are coming out of my mouth. But yes, Dabo Swinney, Clemson Tigers, it's chaos right now. Tampering galore, adults manipulating young men. Education is the last thing. Cry me a mother you-know-what river. Are you serious, Dabo Swinney? Adults manipulating young men, that is exactly what you do. That is what you do. That is the essence of what you do as a college head coach. When you recruit, you're manipulating these young men to come to your school. You're making promises you know you can't cash. You're selling dreams that probably won't come to fruition to benefit you as the head coach and your program to win a national championship. Why is the transfer rule manipulation? It gives coaches and players an opportunity to play football. What is he talking about? Why is he crying? Why is Dabo Swinney crying? Of all people in college to bitch and complain about the transfer portal rules, Dabo Swinney should be the last of it. And let me tell you why Dabo Swinney is really upset, is because he hitched his wagon to the second coming of Trevor Lawrence and beyond, and that blew up in catastrophic fashion in DJ Uyunglele. He's lost all his coordinators. He's losing recruits. Clemson is done. Their run is over. Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence carried Dabo Swinney's ineptitude as an offensive play caller, as a defensive motivator. They lost Brent Venables. They lost Tony Elliott. DJU stinks. They're losing recruits left and right. That is why Dabo Swinney is crying his eyes out right now. And let me be clear, because a lot of people on Twitter are trying to tell me, Ray, this is ruining the game, and these young men aren't getting an education. When the hell did you care about any of them getting it? Do you care if Trevor Lawrence graduated? Do you know if he did or not? Do you know if Justin Fields graduated from Ohio State, or do you even really care? I honestly don't know. I know they declared after the junior seasons they probably didn't graduate. Do you care about the education that Justin Fields got? Do you care about the education that Najee Harris received? Or do you only care about those players scoring touchdowns and making interceptions for you on Saturdays and Sundays? Spare me the educational access argument that people want to make. Cut it out, folks. Cut it out. Like, this is nonsensical behavior. This is ridiculous. You want to talk to me about education and manipulating young men? Get the hell out of here, Jay. Come on, bro. I cannot believe this.
It's like you just said. When you start losing, all of a sudden the goalposts start to move. You say, oh, well, it was unfair, and, it's just not a great system, and players are just all over the place. It's open season. But if he was winning, if he was in the playoff, you'd say, oh, no, it's fine. I love it the way it is. It's working out so
If
great.
Jahmyr Gibbs and Tank Bigsby transferred to Clemson, he'd be just fine. If you know what I mean, if these players were going to Clemson, he'd be just fine. Spare me the edge. Listen.
It's always been
I don't know what
Always.
y'all got out of college. It was good life experience. Can't remember anything that I really learned in college. I'm not going to. Law school, yes, learned a lot. Undergraduate? Honestly, I legitimately think about, and I'm not even being funny, how many times, can I vividly remember, sitting in class and learn? I remember hanging out with the Qs, frat brothers, talking to women, learning how to do my own laundry on my own, having to work a job, but, skills that I use in my actual day-to-day job, zero from undergrad. Zero. Zilch. Zero. Nothing. For what I actually do to earn a living for my family, I learned none of that. It was life experiences that I gained during my undergraduate career. And let's be clear, most of these college players, majority of them, do you know what their major is in college? General damn studies. It's just broad overview, a little bit of everything in life. So let's spare me the foundation for the rest of your life is earned in your first 4 years of college. Stop. Maybe some of y'all listening are very much into education, and you were tapped in from day one of your freshman year. Took me 5.5 to get out, first and foremost. 5.5 to get out. And I don't remember anything that I learned in undergrad. Law school, yes. Undergrad, no. So spare me the educational enrichment that you get as an undergraduate student while playing football, and they encourage you not to take certain majors so you can be at practice in the afternoon. They encourage you not to take engineering degrees and not to go get a business economic because it's too labor intensive. Got to have you on the field, need to maintain that 2.0 GPA so you can play. So spare me the crying Dabo Swinney.
You're right, though. You're right.
Which leads us into the best piece of news that happened yesterday. Let's drop it real quick.
That being said, everybody know I'm committed to Florida State, but this will look real good too, but that ain't my shit. This will look real good too, but I'm gonna say that for later. I don't like this one. It fit me well, but that ain't who I want. I always been on my mind. But check me out, mom. Throw me that hat.
Wake up! This is the morning run.
Run, Forrest, run!
So, Travis Hunter, the number one player in high school football, Travis Hunter, committed to Jackson State University. And I am a happy HBCU graduate, HBCU alum. My wife went to Texas Southern University, and I couldn't be happier of all the Florida State tears, all the Power 5 purists who are crying a mother-you-know-what river right now because the number one player in high school football decided to take his talents to an HBCU. That's what I'm talking about. You know how many Hall of Fame players Jackson State has? 5 Hall of Fame NFL players. You know how many Ole Miss and Mississippi State have? 0. So shut your mouth. If you're good, you will be found wherever you play. And Coach Prime, Coach Deion Sanders, is changing the way that college football should be viewed in the eyes of all you purists out there. I know a lot of people think the only way to go to professional football league or to play pro baseball or pro basketball is to go to the biggest school that you can go to. It's to go to Alabama. It's to go to Ohio State. It's to go to Texas. It's to go to Texas A&M. That's bull. LaMelo Ball went nowhere. He went to go play in damn Lithuania and is the best player in his NBA draft class. We've seen other players come from small schools and dominate at the NFL level. You do not have to go to Alabama. If you are good, you will be found. I went to Division II Sheridan State College, and from day one, when I saw Danny Woodhead on the practice field, I said, that dude's going to go to the league. Not only did he go to the NFL, he was a very important player during his career in the NFL. He won a Super Bowl in the NFL. This is a historic moment in college football. It's a historic moment for historically black colleges and universities. Travis Hunter is a trailblazer, man. Like, it truly, it brings, like, it elicits a lot of emotion, man. And to see the crying and the outcry of I can't believe this happened and I'm so shocked, that just tells you how much further we need to go. Most of the players in football are black. You all know that, right? Most players in the NFL, it's a predominantly African-American league. Most players in the NBA, it's a predominantly black association, right? Why can't the SWAC? Why can't Jackson States of the world, the Texas Southerns, the Prairie View A&Ms, the North Carolina A&Ts, why can't those schools develop powerful players that can produce at the NFL level? And yes, I know the level of competition at the SWAC is not nearly the same as the SEC. I get that. But that's because the culture that had been created since the inception of college football, The Negro Leagues, back in baseball, the Negro Leagues, those players, Satchel Paige and company, were better than everybody else playing in the real league, right? In the leagues that were only allowed for white baseball players. They had to integrate that because those dudes were legit. NBA, Wilt Chamberlain, the ABA, those guys changed, revolutionized the game. And while this is just one small step, if this allows for more young athletes, more young black players to say that I can go to an HBCU and thrive, then damn right, let's do it. What are you going to say as a parent when Deion Sanders walks into your living room and says, I came from where your son came from, ma'am, grandma, mother, father, I came from where he came from. I'm coaching young men that I can relate to, that I've been in this situation, and I'm going to do everything in my power to get your son out of that situation. Deion Sanders, the GOAT, the greatest defensive back of all time, one of the greatest defensive players in NFL history, sitting in your living room and making that pitch for you. I'm telling you right now, both my boys will be at Jackson State. They'll be at Jackson State. And this was a catastrophic just slap to the face of all these Power 5 schools. It only takes one. It takes one to start that process. Right now at Jackson State, I believe they have a couple of players on that team who had major Power 5 offers from these big programs that chose to go play for Deion Sanders. This is a beautiful thing, man. 10 years ago, if you told me a quarterback from North Dakota State would be in the running to be the number 1 overall pick, to be drafted number 2 overall in the NFL, I'd say you're crazy. You know what I'm saying? And we just saw Carson Wentz and Trey Lance do that. 10, 15 years ago, a quarterback from Delaware, Joe Flacco, gets drafted in the first round. We got a quarterback right now at Liberty in Malik Willis. Liberty. Some people probably think that's a fake college. Liberty, potential to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft. If you're good, the NFL and the talent will find you. Travis Hunter, shout out to you, to Jackson State University, to Coach Deion Sanders. This is an awesome moment in college football. And for everybody out there that's like, oh, it's what they've been paid. You paid for him. Yeah, that's what's happening now in college football. And that's what's been happening in college football for years. But it's okay when Reggie Bush is getting paid and winning Heisman's and national championships because he's at USC. It's okay that Auburn offered the bag to Cam Newton, his pops and family, because it's Auburn. He's in the Power 5. He's in the SEC, and we'll accept it. He won us a national championship. These players have been getting paid for years across all levels of college football. Now it's just legal. So, again, cry me a you-know-what type of river and spare me the do it for the pride of the school and all of that. Spare me that bullshit. I'm happy, man. Very happy about Travis Hunter making this decision.
Yeah, no, you nailed it, Ray. Like, the biggest thing for me that I want to see more and more, and I liked the basketball comparison, because basketball, the only way to really get to the league for a long time was go to NCAA for a year, learn, grow, whatever. Go to Duke, go to Kentucky, go to one of these big-time schools. But now you see guys going overseas, like LaMelo Ball went to Lithuania. Then he went to Australia to play in the pro league there. We've seen guys go straight to the G League. And I think this is another great way to learn. The thing that sucks, though, is that there's a big difference between Deion Sanders walking into your kid's living room and one of these other coaches from an HBCU, right? So, of course, Deion has his level of fame. He's brought a lot of notoriety to HBCUs, and you have to give him a lot of credit for that. But obviously, the exposure his team gets tenfold, 20-fold, 100-fold of pretty much every other HBCU, which is great for him and his own team and the development of the team overall. But the biggest thing, like you said, is like, if a DB wants to play DB, there is not a coach better than Deion Sanders. So why are you going to Florida State? Why are you going to Florida? Why are you even going to Alabama? As good as their coaches are, as good as Nick Saban is, there is not a better coach to prepare you for the league than Coach Prime. So he made the right decision, and he's a trailblazer on top of that. So you think all those things considered, I hope to see in 3 years he goes like top 5 overall, because that would be the ultimate culminating factor to this story, to see him choose Jackson State over any of these other schools. He could have went to Georgia, could have went to Alabama easily. But if he comes from Jackson State, goes top 5, it'd be
here's the thing.
Story.
Here's the thing. I don't think that's fair to put on him. And here's why. Majority of these top high school players We marvel over him. I know some of us play in the campus to Canton leagues and Devy leagues and fantasy football and all this other stuff. But a lot of these dudes flame out, man. A lot of these top prospects that you think are going to be all world, it doesn't happen. It doesn't come to fruition. Even that list, I think it was 24/7 Sports. And I want to pull it up right now because the list, they showed where the number one overall recruits had gone over the past, since 2011. So over the past 10 years. And I'm just going to rattle off the names for you. Here we go. So here are the number one ranked recruits since 2011. Jadeveon Clowney, I think we can say he's been good. He was a top pick. He's been good.
And he went number one, right?
Dorial Green Beckham. I mean,
yuck.
Like bust. I think he was a second round pick. Okay.
Yeah.
Robert Kimdichie. I mean, bust from Ole Miss. Bust with the Arizona Cardinals. Leonard Fournette, good. We can say Leonard Fournette delivered, right? Number one player, delivered. Trenton Thompson, I have no clue who that even is.
Never heard of him.
2015. Rashawn Gary, all right, first round pick for the Packers, good. Jalen Phillips, defensive end, UCLA.
Yeah, he's good.
He's good. Damn, he was 2017. He was drafted in the first round. T-Law, all right. T-Law, number one overall pick. Nolan Smith from Georgia. We'll see how that plays out. I doubt it'll be a top 5 pick, but we'll see how that plays out. Brian Breesy, he's good from Clemson. We'll see how that plays out. I think he'll be a top pick if he continues to play well. Quinn Ewers, I don't know what he'll be. Have no clue. None of us know. We project he'll be good. And Travis Hunter. So of these guys who went top, you got Clowney, Fournette, T-Law, of course. Phillips was a first rounder, I believe. So I don't even care if he goes first. If he's good, which I think Travis Hunter is going to be good. I don't know what positions he's going to play because he's good at receiver, he's good at defensive back. And Jackson State may try to use him both sides of the ball. But if he's good, he's going to be found. And I think him just going first round, if that comes to fruition, would be a huge win. You make a really good point. Not all HBCUs have a Deion Sanders as head coach. It's a really good point. I would just say if you've got an opportunity to go play, if you're a 3-star recruit, a 2-star recruit, and you're getting some interest from, Northern Illinois, or you're getting some interest from a Liberty, or you're getting some back-end interest from maybe a bigger school within, the Power 5 conferences. Would you want to go there and sit on the bench for 3 years and maybe get a shot to play in your 4th year? Or could you take your talents to an HBCU, thrive, put on a show, and right now they're doing more for these colleges. I do believe that they're going to have an HBCU combine to really
they already have one.
Yeah, to get those guys noticed. So, I honestly, man, if you're good, the NFL talent evaluators will find you. We see that every single year. I just thought this was a beautiful moment, man. A beautiful moment for the game of football. A beautiful moment for Travis Hunter and Coach Prime and Deion Sanders. But we do have to get into some NFL football because we've got a hell of a matchup tonight. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Los Angeles Chargers, and we are going to try to beat the rush. Wake up!
This is Beat the Rush.
Get out of the way, Jaguars!
All right, so Kansas City favored by 3, over under 52.5. Keenan Allen back off of the COVID list yesterday, which is great news for the Chargers. Chargers have been one of the more kind of up and down teams of the season. They go on to they get these amazing wins. You think they're there, and then they lose games to which you think they have no business losing. But if they win tonight, this is a huge step. This is a divisional game. They're pushing for a playoff spot. They want to win the AFC West. And Kansas City wants to stay very hot because defensively, outside of Dallas, they're playing like one of the hottest defenses in the NFL right now. The Chargers currently allow pressure on 27.6% of dropbacks, which is 6th best in the NFL, but they will not have all-world rookie left tackle Rashawn Slater in this matchup. And Justin Herbert has only been hurried, only 13.9% of his dropbacks, which is 5th in the NFL. You give Justin Herbert 5th in the NFL time in the pocket, 5th best time in the pocket in the NFL, he is going to dissect you and shred you to pieces. In the running game, the Chiefs are 2nd in the NFL in yards before contact per attempt, which is why when they choose to run the ball, they're usually very effective. And we talk about Clyde Edwards-Helaire and how much of a bust he's been. It's like they just never commit to him, dude. He'll run the ball good, 4 plays in a row, and then he doesn't touch it again for a quarter and a half. I don't understand it, but that's Kansas City for you, right? Combine the fact that the Chargers defense they're bad against the run. Clyde should be in a prime spot, but can we really trust Clyde Edwards-Helaire to get the volume, to get the carries? I don't know, man. I don't know if we can. Back to Justin Herbert. He's third in the NFL in completion percentage on deep targets and has 6 touchdowns this season, which averaged a distance of 31.24 yards, which is just insane. The fact that he's just rocket launching the ball downfield and completing a ton of passes. Where are you at in this matchup? Do you like Kansas City by 3? Do you like the over-under 52.5, Jay?
So it's interesting you talk about the over-under, because that's one I think I want to take the under in this game. So the last game they played was 30-24. The Chargers won. But I think there's going to be a little bit less passing in this game. And it's just because, you look at Mahomes, the way he's been playing recently, he only averages 260. He had 260 yards last game, and he only averages 230 against the Chargers. We know the Chargers' pass defense is top 5 in the NFL. So I think I'm probably going to go under. You look at Kelsey kind of falling off the cliff, maybe. We'll see what happens with Kelsey. He's only gotten over-under of 60.5 yards, which is just insane to me. For a guy like Travis Kelsey, he's usually in the 70s, sometimes even in the 80s. I think I'm going under in this game. I think there's going to be a lot of running, a lot of ball control. The Chargers know that they can beat the Chiefs. They already beat them once this year. I think they're just going to have to find a way to do it again, and I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, tight. I'd probably take the Chargers to cover and win, and I'd probably take the under.
All right. You want to dive into some prize picks props? We're diving into some prize picks box. All right. So prize picks is so many P's, man. Prize picks props. All right. Got the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes over under 271.5 passing yards. I don't know. This year against the Chargers, he threw for 260. He's only gone. This is crazy. He's only gone over 271.5 one time in his last 5 games, and that was a 400-yarder against the Broncos. Mahomes is averaging 236 per game in his last 6 versus the Chargers. Derwin James, he didn't play last week. I think he's back this week. I believe, Jay. I believe he's back. How are you feeling about Mahomes over 271.5, man?
I like the under. So like you mentioned, Derwin James questionable, so more than likely going to play. Keenan Allen, obviously off the COVID list. I believe Chris Harris also off the COVID list. So they should be getting their full complement of defensive backs back, which is going to be huge for that defense. I think I'd be tempted to take the under. You were on it early when it was at 280, and I was still like, oh, it's Mahomes, he can go over, blah, blah, blah. Nah, it's just not happening. It's not happening. And this is a defense that will allow you to run the ball if you want to. They heavily skew towards the pass, and they're not going to let you get it deep on them.
I just don't know if the Chiefs are patient enough to stick to first of all, to stick to Clyde, to run any running game in general, and then stick to Clyde. Darrell Williams is the passing down back, whether we like it or not. I actually want to see what a line is on his receiving yard totals, honestly. Clyde, over under 53.5.
So there's no prize picks line for Clyde. No prize picks line for Darren. What is Darrell Williams? All these Williams in Kansas City, but Clyde is at 9.5. If you
9.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, it's one of Jeff Ratcliffe's favorite lines from this weekend or this Thursday night game.
You'll be sweating.
Clyde over 9.5.
Your ass would be tight and clenched the whole game, hoping he gets a 10-yard reception.
So he's hit it though in 4 of his last 5. Obviously, that's coming off the injury because he did it in week 4, week 5, and then week 11 and week 13. The only week he didn't do it was last week.
What happened, man? Too. Wasn't Clyde supposed to be this pass-catching dynamite out of LSU?
Remember? Oh, you know who he was supposed to be? Was
Brian
LaShawn
Westbrook.
McCoy. Remember that?
No, he's supposed to be Brian Westbrook, LaShawn McCoy, all these players. Dude is literally just Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like, that's who he is. Like, when they say, who is Clyde Edwards-Helaire? He's the best version of him, or the worst version. He's actually a worse version of what he was at LSU. Tyreek Hill, over under 78.5 receiving yards. Travis Kelsey, over under 60.5. Do you like either of those? For them to right the ship, Kelsey has been, his cumulative stats look good, but per game, not so hot. Tyreek Hill, 78.5. Oh,
a little
man.
High, honestly.
It seems a little high, right? Yeah, I think he had 76 last week.
So against the Chargers, Kelsey had 11 targets, 7 receptions, and 104 yards. So maybe that short passing game will be.
Well, they don't have any
linebackers.
linebackers. They have no linebackers of consequence. So I'm more inclined for a Travis Kelce game. These Thursday night games have just been tricky, man. These joints have been either real bad or real good for one team. And I think the way that I'm going to build this out, because I am going to put you could tail our picks, ftndaily.com /
link in description.
No, I want to say it. Here it is. Wait, no, I don't have it.
Hold on. I'll pull it up for you.
Pull it up because I need to. It's long.
ftndaily.com /NFL /pick tracker /prize picks.
Well, I'll have them on there. I'll have them on there after the show. I don't know what I'm going to do right now. The Chargers, Justin Herbert, over 279.5 passing yards. He has been just flamethrower of lately. I think he can easily hit another 300 yards against this Chiefs defense, and I know the defense is playing well, but Austin Eckler's a little banged up. He's got Keenan Allen back. Mike Williams is in the building. I think this could be a big game for Justin Herbert. Where's that? I think there was some chart that showed Justin Herbert in primetime games has just been money, lights out.
Really?
I know people keep stats on everything, but in primetime games or solo spots, Justin Herbert's been fantastic. So you got Justin Herbert sitting at 279.5. Austin Eckler, over 49.5 rushing and over 37.5 receiving. I really don't like either of them, especially with him not at 100%. Keenan Allen, are there lines out? I don't know if there's any lines out for Keenan Allen, but he had 12 targets in the last matchup, 50 yards and a touchdown. Mike Williams
70.5.
Okay, Keenan Allen 70.5. What about Mike Williams?
Yeah.
Mike Williams
52.5.
Mike Williams had 7 receptions, 122 and 2 last time, and he's sit at 50.5.
Yeah, but that was the old Mike Williams. We got the new Mike Williams. I guess the original Mike Williams is really the better way to put it with how bad he's been playing lately. Keenan is interesting, but yeah, remember this was a game where it went tilted more in Mike Williams' favor, and he got a ton of yards and ton of touchdowns and ended up winning the game. Keenan obviously back now off of COVID. 70.5, he can do it. He had 8 receptions in the game last time, but only for like 50 yards, a lot of dink and dunk, short stuff. So we'll see. I don't really know who to trust in this game. Keenan coming off of COVID, and we know that he actually had it too. So we don't know how he's feeling, the implications of it, where his body's at. You know, we hear reports across the board from athletes, varying ranges of symptoms and how it affects them over time and their breathing and all these things. So I probably would stay away from that a little bit. But potentially, I'm tempted to maybe take Austin Eckler. I think he'll be a bigger feature unless they go the route of going to Jalen Guyton, Josh Palmer. If you want one of those guys, Jalen Guyton you need 20 yards, and Josh Palmer, you only need 12. So if you think Keenan coming back slower, not getting as many snaps, maybe take a shot on Guyton or a Palmer, I don't know. Not terrible. They're low, man, real low. One play.
Rubio, you know I love the quarterback rushing stats. Patrick Mahomes, is it over 19? So he's got to hit 19 yards, so it's 18.5. He hit it last game. He hasn't hit that number. Outside of last game, he hadn't hit that number since week 7. He hasn't been running as much as he was earlier this season. 4 attempts the last 2 games. He had 7 the week before that. 0 versus the Raiders. 2 the week before that. 3 the week before that. And then 6 the week that he hit 35. So if you're asking me, again, this Chargers defense is very bad against the run. I think the game script in this one could be Kansas City, they recognize that, spread them out, create those running lanes, and I think it would provide some opportunity for Mahomes to boogie with his legs. Not super confident in it. If you had to ask me, would I take the over-under? I think in this matchup on Thursday night, I would be more inclined to take the over Patrick Mahomes 19 rushing yards or to hit 19 rushing yards. But he just hasn't been running as much lately, so I don't have a ton of confidence in it. I'd probably try to pivot somewhere else, look at some unders or some overs for some other quarterbacks. What's Herbert's rushing over under? He's been doing a little more work on the ground. He has until I think last week he screwed me over because he didn't do a damn thing on
it. It was 2 weeks ago that he screwed us because we took it, and then this week he hit his over. Yeah. So to answer Carl's question, Mahomes is 15.5 on Prize Picks. Herbert is 13.5. 13.5 is a decent number for Herbert. He can hit it.
If I can get Mahomes at 15.5, I would take the over. 19 is a little rich for me. 15.5, I would definitely take the over of that. And Herbert, you said is 13.5. I don't feel bad about either of those. Those might make my those might make my flex play. Both of those.
Ooh.
You know, I love the quarterback rushing props. I think both of those
QB
overs are obtainable, especially on Thursday night. So playoff implications, Jay, of this. If let's see this playoff implications. If the Chargers win, both teams are 9-5, and the Chargers would have the tiebreak over the Chiefs and would be leading the AFC West, dropping Kansas City down to a wild card team. So this is an important game for both teams. This would drastically increase the Patriots' chances of winning the AFC if they can get a win in Indianapolis on Saturday night. So a lot of playoff implications here. We talked about some juice and some good value you can get, placing some future bets on divisional winners and conference winners. This would definitely impact that. And I said, we both agreed, Jay, that if you were going to pick somebody to come out of the AFC that actually has some value, the Chargers, right? Plus 1,000. I believe they were 10-1 to win the AFC. If they beat Kansas City, those odds will drastically drop. I think if the Chargers win tonight, we wake up tomorrow, we'll see the Chargers at plus 600 to win the AFC. So you'll lose 40 points, 400 points of value right there on that one. And this could even, like you said in the notes, can even set up the Chargers to win the AFC with only the Texans, Broncos, and Raiders left to play. Big time game. I think that the Chargers are going to come out hot. I like a lot of the overs on the Los Angeles side. And if they're going to put up points and score on Kansas City, then that means Kansas City is going to in turn have to turn around and try to do something, which scares me with the rushing props for Clyde, because I think the Chargers get out early, and then Patrick Mahomes, they're forced to throw the ball, which that's not going to yield well for the running game. What I want is a Darrell Williams receiving yard line. That's what I want. So hopefully Prize Picks can put that out before the game, because I think that's what I'll take. Any other takeaways from this game? I mean, this is a really important game for both teams. Like, I know we saw slop last Thursday with the Steelers and the Vikings. I do not believe that's what we get tonight. This is a super important game for both teams. Anything else you want to add before we get out of here, Jay?
No, I think to your point about the Patriots is that if the Chargers do win, not only will that line drop, but then imagine the Patriots lose, we will have a 4-way tie at 9-5 for that number 1 seed in the AFC, making it completely wide open. The only other team, obviously, is Tennessee, who's sitting at 9-4 right now. We'll see what happens with them this week.
Do you have a build for this game yet, or are you going to do it afterwards, or do you have something already that you like that you want to lock in?
I think I like the Herbert number. That's one of my favorite ones. I want to take under on Mahomes, and then
wait. Hold up, just for clarity, Herbert what? Passing or rushing?
So Mahomes under passing. I want the Herbert over rushing, and then I do want to go after Herbert passing touchdowns. He threw 4 touchdowns last time he played the Chiefs. I think he can hit at least 3 this time around. So it's not out yet, but that's what I'm going to be looking for. Or maybe it is out. Hold on one second.
Yeah, I was going to check.
It's Clyde touchdown right now. It's only a Clyde touchdown. But when they put out a number for Herbert touchdowns, if they do, that's one I want to go after as well. His completions are at 25. I don't love it. He's hit that in 3 of 5 games. So I'm iffy on it. But yeah, I think right now I'm looking at the Mahomes rushing or Mahomes passing prop under, and then the Herbert rushing over. And I think that'll kind of get me towards that under that I'm leaning towards, and a Chargers cover.
Okay. I don't know what I'm going to do right now. I do know that I am going to take both quarterbacks rushing over. That's a for sure. I want to wait for a Darrell Williams line to come out. I like Travis Kelce over his receiving yard total, and I might take a long shot on one of those. Here's my thing. When I'm looking at props for me, like, I want to bet on guys that I know are going to get the ball. Like, I get some of these Jalen Guytons and some of those Josh Palmers, but just as easy as we could say, oh, all he needs is one catch to do that, he may not even get a damn target. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather know the volume is going in one direction, and Travis Kelce is going to get the volume. Like, I know that's going to happen. I know it. Is he going to hit his number? I don't know, but I know he's going to get the volume. So I just want to bet on those kind of situations and not just throw out outliers that they may only get one pass in that game. And I just don't like doing that.
So question for you then, talking about Travis Kelce, would you prefer the 60.5 or would you prefer his fantasy points at 14.5? That way you get the value of the touchdown. This is for Kelce. Kelce's points at only 14.5 fantasy points.
I love that.
If he scores, that should be cash money.
Yeah, if he scores,
he's got a good shot
right
of
there.
scoring.
Yeah. I think that on Prize Picks, the undervalued plays are the fantasy points. Like, I really do, because you're right. You don't have to get a whole bunch of targets and catches. You need them to score. It's like you're getting kind of the best of both worlds with the fantasy points, because let's just say Kelsey catches 8 balls for 30 yards. He doesn't get a lot of yards, but then he scores a touchdown. You've hit, even though he didn't have a monster game. So I think I kind of like the Travis Kelce fantasy points. I'll build it out. We'll put it on the pick tracker on FTN Daily. Make sure you go over there, check that out. If you like it and you're not subscribed to FTN, use the promo code ALLGAS to save you, I believe, it was at 10 or 20% at check. I think it's 20%. It's 20. If you do it today, we'll make it
whatever
20.
it is.
Go do it. We'll get you 20%. If you want to sign up and it ain't, holla at GQ. I'll get you 20% at FTN Fantasy. But we appreciate y'all tapping in. Tomorrow, we're going to get into New England Patriots, Indianapolis Colts, hit a couple of more games from Sunday, give y'all some plays that we like, and hopefully cash out from this evening's game. Y'all be safe. Y'all be well. We'll be back tomorrow. We out. Peace.